Chefs get better by practicing cooking and testing recipes.
Pilots learn new equipment by training on flight simulators.
Engineers improve their designs with prototypes. But how do firefighters and emergency responders improve their skills?
They come here to train at Texas A&M's Fire School in Disaster City. Fire training here dates back to 1930.
Today, it's the world's premier fire and emergency services training provider. In 2022, TEEX provided 3 million training hours to over 170,000 men and women.
They came from all 50 states and 109 countries.
On-site training takes place at the Brayton Fire Training Field. It's 297 acres with 130 specific training stations. Here, they can simulate a wide range of fire types: houses, apartments, industrial, offices, warehouses, airplanes, train cars, chemical fires, and marine fires.
John Burge, program director, gave us a tour.
John has been coming here for training since the 1980s, and he's worked directly for TEEX for the last 10 years. When you see the size and scope of this place, you quickly get a sense of the complexities and variety of factors that go into firefighting and rescue services. It's far more than pointing a hose and spraying water. These training grounds give firefighters a range of realistic but controlled environments to learn and practice skills. No one wants an emergency, but it will happen, and when it does, the training provided to the responders here will save lives.
Each training station is called a prop.
When a team trains on a prop, they get to experience firefighting in a realistic setting, focusing on specific skills. They have to determine the sources of the fire and strategize how to attack it. They have to account for things like fuel, wind, and slope. They have to protect the fire from crucial areas like sump pump intakes that could spread the fire. Metal swells and gaskets leak, causing the fire to change behavior. All of these things and many more must be factored in while keeping track of the resources and keeping safety a priority.
Upstairs, downstairs, like I said, there's 31 different leaks on that prop. And you got a big sump right there where all the water runs down those covered ditches into that sump. And that's how lots of fire spread on the plant. It gets into their sump and runs to a processing plant or down the ditch and carries fire with it. And so they've got to focus on keeping the fire out of there. So they'll do that with foam, paying attention, try to keep good foam on it back up here. You know, somebody needs to be assigned the sump. Yeah, keep it cool. Look at that big airplane. And they'll bring the ARF truck over here to use it. It's like walking into a barbecue crew. You see there's the patient right there out on the wing. Another smaller plane.
A TEEX operator controls the scene from an operator station. He or she can adjust the level of difficulty, vary the scene, or shut things down for safety.
And they control the fire. So all those buttons over there are their water. So you see water spilling out of those tank cars? So he's got water turned on, and every vessel you see out here is full of water. That keeps them from burning up because it's internally cool. So you can put a lot of heat on the outside of that and nothing will happen to it because the inside is full of running water, keeping the heat off of the metal. But what the fueler does, you see all these have labels: meter loop, left pump, pump. So every one of these is a gas or a liquid valve, and they're controlling how much is going to that leak source. You want to make the fire bigger, you open the valve bigger. If it's too big and they're having trouble with it, you keep some of that fuel off. Start shutting that valve real slowly. That's a derail. There's about 8 really good fires in that realistic. The railroad companies put it in. They donated the cars. We had a 200-ton crane sitting right here placing the cars together. So when we fight this fire, they actually have to wade through the water. And you see how the water's dried up. You start shooting the monitors in there, it don't take long to fill it up. But all the belly valves leak, the pump valves, there's a rupture on top of that one. You see the dome lid popped open on this one. So there's fires all around this thing. We even put railroad chat in there, so it made it very realistic. In fact, I didn't want any chat in here because that's ankle twisters to me. You're in fire boots and you step on one of these big rocks and roll an ankle. And but the railroad was just insistent about it.
This prop is marine-based, a ship. Each of these scenes requires a special set of skills, and fighting a fire on a ship is no different. Confined spaces, bulk storage, flammable cargo, and added time pressures are just a few of the additional challenges. A fire can double in size every 5 minutes, which is a problem anywhere, but especially on a ship.
This is the nose or the bow of the ship, and that's the deck, and you see the quarters, the captain, the crew up there, and then we've got a big engine room. And that engine room is the hottest fire we have on the site. I've measured temperature at 800 degrees, and they got to go in across a gangway and down some stairs in there to put it out. That's the only place we still burn real decent.
Is that what makes it hotter?
Yeah.
This prop is like a condo or apartment. Responders are not only fighting the fire, they are training to look for victims in a dark, smoke-filled space in an unfamiliar layout.
So once we get the hay burning, there's a smoker barrel there. We've got these racks. Once you get hay burning in all of these rooms, it fills up with this dark smoke immediately. So when they come in, they fill the door. They spray water door, make sure there's not fire against that door, and you always open it away from you. You want the door to swing away from you, so you're on the open side of the door. You open it, swing it back, and make sure, give it a couple of seconds, make sure you don't have a backdraft situation, something like that going on where you'll get burned. Give it a couple of seconds, the smoke's rolling out too, but then they come in on their hands and knees, and you pick a wall, right or left. If you pick a wall and stay with that wall, and go all the way through this place, you're going to come right back to this door. If you ever swap walls, you're lost. So you can always follow your hose back if you don't lose your hose or it doesn't get burned, so that's another way out. So one of the things that they'll do is come in and start patting the wall, go all the way around, but they're also sweeping, and a lot of times you go too wide, so he's also sweeping because you're looking for victims. They say, yeah, my mother's still in there, I couldn't find her, or my brother, my uncle. So they come in and they start sweeping until when they find the dummies, then they get them out. And you're protected by a hose doing it. Right there, 34. And that's probably one of the favorites of most of the companies that come out here fighting fire. Let me show you what that one looks like when it's on fire. That's that prop right there.
So what they went there? Oh wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, it blows up big.
So what's it simulating?
That is a chemical plant.
In addition to the trainees sent here by municipalities, agencies, and private companies, TEEX also offers a fire training academy. After successfully completing this program, graduates get hired as firefighters on municipal departments.
Now all of these are recruits. So they're in the classroom right now, but every one of these is a recruit that's going to recruit school right now. 12 weeks. And so they'll come out here early after, spending probably till lunch. They'll come out here this afternoon, put all their bunker gear on, go do something.
They have more than $8 million in fire trucks to train on, including some specially modified trucks to better accommodate a class.
You look inside the door and you can see, normally you don't have that kind of room in a normal fire truck.
I think you can go on up there, buddy. Let's step up and see.
So normally, you got enough room for 2 people to stand up here and control this panel. But we moved some seats back, changed it around, enlarged this, so we can put 6 or 8 guys in here at a time and teach them.
Training teams are around 25 people, and Brayton Field can accommodate up to 21 teams training at once.
To do that, it takes a lot of water, which requires an extensive water supply system.
Water used on the field is all collected by a drainage system. It goes through settlement tanks, skimmers, and filtration. Once cleaned, water is stored in ponds and then pumped into tanks where it stands ready to be used again.
All right, so there's that small square block in the back on the other side of that buggy. That's DAF 301, and on the other side of it, you can't see it right now, it's DAF 401. So those are the two things I said capture the foam and excess fuel that comes with our water in those two big EQA and EQB tanks. Those hold 1 million gallons each. So we were only able to treat 1,200 gallons a minute of water with those two DAFs. So we spent $1 million on this big DAF right here, this one right in front of you, and it does 1,200 gallons on its own. So now we can treat 2,400 gallons of water a minute. So that helped us a bunch.
Water quality is rigorously monitored so that any runoff that discharges is verified to be cleaner than the natural water it flows into. The hay used to simulate clothes, papers, or other flammable materials is specially sourced.
Insecticide-free and pesticide-free, because I don't want insecticides and pesticides in the smoke so just a guy panics and pulls his mask off and he breathes some bad smoke. So that's another safety factor. We buy virgin, pesticide, insecticide-free hay to burn in our buildings, but that costs us a lot of money. So one bale of hay is like $8.50.
Other fire fuels are propane or a special fuel called E3. E3 is a biofuel that is more environmentally friendly. It burns cleaner with very little smoke. Safety is a priority for all operations. The best way to deal with accidents is to prevent them altogether. But being prepared is also important, so there are always paramedics on duty while training is taking place. Not every emergency involves a fire, and TEEX offers training for those situations too.
This area is called Disaster City, and they describe it as a place where tragedy and training meet.
Disaster City is a mock community with full-scale structures. Here, responders can train in search, rescue, structure stabilization, hazmat control, securing scenes, and breaching barriers. Settings include theaters, schools, parking garages, auto wrecks, towers, restaurants, vessels, elevator shafts, parking garages, train wrecks, and more.
Examples of training includes rope rescue, confined to spaces, tornado response, building collapses, canine rescue, rappelling, and ag rescue.
There are over 100 different props, with more being updated or added all the time. Believe it or not, this video doesn't even cover all they do. They also have emergency management team training. They create textbooks. They provide resources for FEMA. They have classroom training, online training, field training, consulting services, and so much more. Our visit really opened our eyes to the broad world of emergency response and gave us a whole new appreciation for the professionalism and dedication of the men and women who serve as responders. TEEX does an outstanding job of equipping these responders with the skills and practice we hope they never need. But when they do need it, we are grateful they have it.
Thanks for the tour, Mr. Burge and TEEX. And thanks for all the work you do to make our world safer.